Alright, so we're back, of course, talking about some Final Fantasy VII to a certain degree, but also we're just talking about Square Enix in general, because we learned early this morning that Square Enix is going to be a part of Tokyo Game Show. Now, that itself isn't necessarily surprising or necessarily news, because Square Enix is usually at Tokyo Game Show. I don't know how many they've been to, but they've definitely been to the last, 3 since I've really been covering FF7 on the channel since, 2019, 2021. They've been at Tokyo Game Show. So that, again, is not really that surprising. But we also learned what day they're actually going to be there and how long their showcase is going to be. And it's actually pretty goddamn long. For starters, Tokyo Game Show is going to be like a 4-day event, it looks like, which is pretty nice. But it's also going to be a very long event because the first day, the 15th, they're going to be starting at 10 a.m. local time for Japan and going all the way to midnight local time. So you're looking at a 14-hour stream and shit for whatever. That's kind of crazy. Anyway, Square Enix's showcase is going to be on the 16th, the second day. It's going to be at 10 p.m. Japan time all the way to midnight Japan time. So a 2-hour showcase for Square Enix specifically. So just doing a bit of time conversion there. 10 p.m. Japan time will be about 8 a.m. locally for me, Central Time Zone, which is pretty nice because it definitely had some Japanese live streams or whatever where it's 4 a.m. or so for me, which isn't the worst thing. It's doable, but sometimes I'll just miss it and just catch the news when I wake up the next day or something like that. That'd also mean that if you're West Coast, that'd be 6 a.m. for you, which is still doable. And then if you're on the East Coast, obviously it'd be at 9 a.m., which is all, again, even better. And also, I assume 10 p.m. is not too bad locally for Japan. So it seems like they're definitely catering this time slot for maybe the widest audience possible, which is a little bit exciting. But yeah, so when we first learned this, it was pretty cool, man. It's okay, Square Enix has a 2-hour showcase at Tokyo Game Show. They gotta be showing some important stuff here. But within just a handful of hours of learning that they're going to be at TGS and how big the time slot's going to be and all that shit, we actually got the full set list from them. Or more specifically, according to Audrey translation, this is the Tokyo Game Show booth showcase list for Square Enix, as in, if you go up to their booth at TGS, these are the games that you would see. There's a couple games missing from this list: Final Fantasy 16, FF7 Rebirth, and also some Kingdom Hearts stuff, we know Kingdom Hearts 4, and I think another spin-off game's supposed to be out there in the works or something. Those aren't on the list. But this could be different from the actual showcase that you're going to see if you're watching Tokyo Game Show, potentially. And actually, in the reply, somebody kind of asked a question about that, and Audrey replied with, "I'm not 100% because the past 2 TGS shows have been mostly online due to COVID, so this is the first year where the schedule is back to normal with fan attendance at booths aside from the press. It could be that what we see in the list is what will be in their presentation." So again, the actual live stream that you're going to watch for TGS could be different from the list that we're about to look at, but also, even if the list is 100% accurate, there's clearly room for surprises. For one, they got to fill a 2-hour time slot. So let's read over really quickly: Crisis Core, Final Fantasy VII Reunion, Diofield Chronicle, Dragon Quest Treasures, Dragon Quest X, Dragon Quest X, Awakening 5 Tribes Online, it's a hell of a name, Final Fantasy Brave Exvius, Final Fantasy VII Ever Crisis, Final Fantasy XIV, Forspoken, Harvestella, Infinity Strass, Dragon Quest Adventures of Dai, Nier Automata, End of Your Edition, Power Wash Simulator, Romancing Saga, Star Ocean 6, The Divine Force, Stranger Paradise, Final Fantasy Origin, Tactics Ogre Reborn, Valkyrie Elysium, War of the Visions, Final Fantasy Brave Exvius. So for us here on the channel, we mostly talk about FF7, obviously. We're getting Crisis Core Reunion there, and we're also getting Ever Crisis. We get confirmation we're going to have Ever Crisis there, which is nice. We haven't seen that since the 25th anniversary, which oddly enough also happened on a 16th. It happened on June 16th. So this event, this live stream and shit for Square Enix is happening exactly to the day, 3 months after the 25th anniversary. Does that mean something? I don't know. So I expect this to be another trailer, and this one's got to give us a release date, right? This game's supposed to be dropping sometime within 2022. The last, kind of time frame for what we had for when the game was going to come out was supposed to be September. So it's always possible that they could show this game off at, Tokyo Game Show in the middle of September and still release it within the next, 2 weeks before September ends. I don't know. I believe last time we talked about this game, I saw some questions that I kind of want answered, and that's how the exploration is going to work. Outside of the Midgar shit, obviously that can be linear, but when we leave Midgar and we get to where we can go to Calm and Chocobo Farm and all of the shit, do we get to actually explore the world, or is it just load screens between locations? That's something I hope that this trailer could maybe answer, but also a look at maybe the microtransaction system and maybe whatever the in-game currency is, whether it's gems or whatever the case that you can spend on opening chests or whatever the fuck it is to get character skins or weapons or whatever the fuck. We need to know how the microtransactions are going to work. And hopefully this showcase for the game or whatever it's going to be for Tokyo Game Show could maybe give us answers for that shit. I don't have a whole lot of questions for this game. It is just a mobile remake, so to speak, of the FF7 compilation. So there's not a whole lot that I expect out of it, but there are a couple questions that I want answered. Actually, also, this presentation could tell us exactly what they're going to do with this game in terms of release, because we know it's supposed to be a chapter per month, but how many games are they doing per month? We've seen a lot of Crisis Core between the 2 different trailers. So are they doing one chapter for Crisis Core, one chapter for FF7 when the game launches? Maybe Crisis Core first because it's a prequel, maybe FF7 first because it's a more popular and well-known game. I don't know what they're doing, so maybe they can clear this shit up too. Crisis Core Reunion's supposed to be there, which is pretty cool, but at the same time, I kind of don't want to see any more of it. Like, I guess they could do another trailer or two before the game drops, but I'm good, personally. Like, we've seen enough to know what this is. Unless there is new stuff and they want to show that off, which they swear there's not new stuff, so I don't know why they'd show that. I don't really need to see a whole lot more. It's kind of the same thing with, like, Last of Us Part 1, which is about to come out in a couple of days. Like, that game, I've seen a handful of screenshots, very minimal gameplay, but I've avoided even trailers and everything. I've not watched like really anything for that game because I want to go into that as fresh as possible. Yes, it's a remake / remaster, but it's also got a shit ton of new assets and visually looks crazy like compared to the original. And it's kind of what I want to do with like Crisis Core Reunion. I kind of want to go into this as fresh as possible. Maybe they could give us like a better look at some more gameplay in terms of like the overhauled gameplay and how that all going to work, the newer DMW system, whatever the case. And maybe give us a little bit more of a concrete idea of when the game's going to come out instead of this winter. Maybe they could say this year, if it's going to be this year, or next year if it's going to be next year. At the very least, I expect maybe a new trailer. It's been like, 3 months or whatever since the game was revealed, and this is the only gameplay / trailer that we've had, so I expect a new trailer at the very least. Now, the sort of obvious elephants in the room here are the lack of Final Fantasy 16 at this event, and also the lack of FF7 Rebirth. For one, those games are kind of far off still, right? Like, they're, to the day almost, to the month. Final Fantasy 16 still, like, has about a year or so to release, and then obviously Remake's supposed to come out next winter, so about a year and 5 months or some shit like that. So there's still, like, some time for those games to be shown off. But also, those games are PlayStation exclusive, and there's a big rumor right now that they're supposed to do a PlayStation Showcase this month, which they've done in September in the past, so I don't know if it's confirmed or not that there's going to be one, but there's a big rumor about it. So if there's going to be a PlayStation Showcase, then they'd probably want to keep those games for that event, since they're paying for the exclusivity anyways. That being said, of course, I'm not writing anything off. There's obviously, again, room for surprises. For one, there's like 19 different games that we see at this with this booth list, but assuming that this list is accurate to the actual live stream as well, even if you gave each of these games like 5 minutes, that'd only be like an hour and 35 minutes or so. So there's still be like 25 minutes to fill. So there's got to be like some preamble, some talking, some games having longer showcases, some games having shorter showcases. So I think there's room for them to have some surprises. I don't know if it would be 16, if they would even show 7 Rebirth again, since that was just revealed only a couple months ago. But we did just get like a little teaser trailer. That wasn't much of a trailer for Rebirth. So I wouldn't be surprised if they wanted to show it again. I don't know how likely it is, but I do think it's a possibility. I'm not expecting it. I'm not trying to hype you up or make you expect Rebirth to be there. I'm just saying it's possible. It's been a fourth of a year since we've seen the game, right? So I wouldn't be surprised if they want to show it again. I always try to like use past examples, and in 2019 when they sort of like re-revealed Remake with the State of Play like teaser trailer, it was only a couple weeks till E3 where they gave us a big ass like 20-30 minute showcase specifically for Remake. It was only a couple weeks away, right? It's already been 3 months again since Rebirth was shown, so I think nothing's off the table. I just don't know how likely it is. And again, if it's not here at Tokyo Game Show, it could always be at that PlayStation Showcase. So obviously this is exciting. Looking forward to Tokyo Game Show. And again, within the coming weeks, we could get an actual list for the live stream itself that could be different from this booth set list. And that could maybe have 16 on it, 7 Rebirth, the Kingdom Hearts games, whatever the case. Like they could show us that. But for now, we're just going to go with this list as probably what's going to be the live stream. But that is pretty much the video, my dude. So, of course, pass off to you guys. For one, what are your thoughts on Tokyo Game Show? Do you like this lineup that we have? Do you think it's going to be a little bit different? Do you think we're going to get a different list in the future? What are you looking forward to? What sort of surprises do you expect? All those sort of questions, leave them in the comments below. Either way, hope you guys enjoyed the video. If you did, give it a thumbs up. Subscribe to the channel if you guys are new and more Final Fantasy 7 Remake / Rebirth content, Ever Crisis content, Crisis Core Reunion content. We're talking about all of it. Turn on notifications. Follow me on Twitter. I'm a Discord. Links to social networks are in the description and in the outro. Later, guys.
Used to care what people thought, but now I care more, and nobody out here's got it figured out. So therefore, I've lost all hope of a happy ending, depending on whether or not it's worth it. So insecure, no one's perfect. We spend it with no shame. We blow that like Coltrane. We in here like